Hi, I'm Shane McLeod from Remax Gold in Gladstone. Did you know most people will spend more time researching the next car that they're going to buy over the agent who is going to market, negotiate, and sell their property for them? I find that pretty amazing that people would spend more time on, say, a $30,000 or $40,000 purchase than what they would letting somebody sell what is usually their most expensive asset that they own. That's amazing to me. It really is. So, what can you do as a seller when you're out there researching agents to sell your property for you? I'll give you a few tips on some of the things that you really should be looking for when you're out there. Okay, so the first thing I would recommend anyone does before they even let anyone know that they're thinking about selling is get out and do some secret shopping yourself. Get out to the open homes of the agents that you've identified as the ones in the market that you'd like to speak to about selling your property. Now, every agent out there is going to tell you that they're going to do the absolute best job for you when selling their home. But it's not until you're actually out there posing as a buyer that you'll find out how your property sale is going to be represented by those agents. So get along to some open homes first, pretend to be a buyer, and ask some questions. The questions that are really going to matter when you're selling your home. So ask them when you get to that open house and you've had a look through, what will the owners take for that property? What's their lowest price? What's their reason for selling? What will they take? The answers to those questions will tell you very quickly how that agent is going to represent the marketing, the negotiation, and the sale of your property. And this is one key area where you really want to be sure that the agent is working for you, not the buyer, and not their own back pocket. Very, very important questions to ask, in my opinion. Like it or not, there are agents out there who will give them what they want to hear to get a sale together. So get out there and do a little bit of mystery shopping. That's the point number one. If nothing else, that will tell you exactly how that agent is going to represent the sale of your property. Okay, number two. Everybody's got access to sale information these days. You've only got to Google a property. It'll tell you how much it last sold for, all of those things. So there are sites like CoreLogic, even realestate.com.au. If agents are putting in their actual sale prices in those, you go to the sold section. And a lot of agency websites will also have a recent sales section on there. So you really want to be going in, particularly on the agent sites, go in for recent sales and see if they're putting their actual sale prices in against their properties. If they're not, I'd be asking myself why they're hiding sale price numbers. It's public information at the end of the day, so there's really no reason anymore for people to hold that information back. So you really want to be comparing like properties with like properties. Now, it's a natural thing for all sellers. They think their property is a little better than the next one that's on the market. So really look at properties that offer a lot of similar features, the basic ones. If you remember when you were a buyer, what were the things that you looked at? So the amount of bedrooms, bathrooms, how many living areas. If you've got a pool, shed, that sort of thing, look for properties that hold those features and that are roughly around the same sort of age. So that's going to give you a fairly even spread. As agents, that's what we look at when we're helping people to determine market price, is the actual sale prices of similar properties no older than 6 months. Those sales can't be any older than 6 months because the market's changed in that time frame, and that is what determines current market value. Comparable sale prices of properties that have sold within the last 6 months. So if you've got 4 or 5 that have sold in the last 3 months, even better, because that is more up-to-date information. So before you've called an agent in, you should have done some of that homework. Don't just keep looking. The tendency is to go looking for the highest prices. Get a good spread of properties out there so you know exactly what you're dealing with, and you should have a bit of an idea of where those agents are going to be looking and what properties they're going to be looking at as well. You'll also get a really good feel if an agent is coming into your property and that listing presentation looking to highball your figure. Now, another trick, if you like, I guess, to make sure that you've got the right agent in place is to give them a number, I don't know, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 over what the research has shown you, and see what their response is to that. The ones who will say, well, yeah, let's try it at that and see what happens. They just want your listing business in their books, and then they'll crunch you on price, crunch you on price, crunch you on price, crunch you on price. They must give you some sales evidence of like properties that have recently sold to give you a true indication of the market value of your property. So just keep an eye out for those. The ones who are fair income about getting your business really will do the right thing, prepare those reports that show you those properties, what they sold for, and they will be recent sales. So just make sure that you've got all that checked out as well. That's my number 2 tip. Just as an extra to that number 2 tip, the reason I place a lot of importance on making sure that you're not going to market with an unreasonable price on is because those first 5 or 6 weeks on the market are the most important and the whole marketing phase of your property. It's new, fresh to the market. Buyers who've been out there for some time will have been watching the market. They've seen what else is available out there. If you come into the market well over the mark, they're going to know straight away. Buyers aren't silly. They've got actually the same access to that information that you'll be looking at and that agents are looking at too. Overpricing your property, hoping for that buyer that will pay more for some unknown reason, trust me, it just does not work. Again, particularly in this market, price is key. You got to make sure you get that down pat straight up. Number 3. Look for the agent who has some dominance in the market. And that doesn't necessarily mean who's got the most ads in the paper. In the days of print-only advertising, that used to be the gauge where people would go, oh, well, they've got a lot of property in the paper. They must be the dominant agent, or they've got a lot of listings. It's not so much the case anymore. They have a lot of unsold property sitting in the paper. What you're looking for in the first place is those sales. But now with the introduction of Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, the internet itself, all of those things are big marketing tools for real estate agents these days. And I tell you right now, the smart agents are the ones who are taking advantage of, if not all of those, a select 2 or 3 of them and doing it really well. Facebook in particular is something that has great reach out there. Smart agents know how to make it work for them and their clients. Instagram is something that not so many are using well, but certainly something that shouldn't be written off. Video is massive these days. A lot of agents don't like getting in front of the camera. I can see why. I've got a head for radio. But video engagement is one of the key ways that buyers are finding property these days. So that's using a mix of mediums like YouTube and Facebook, of course, and embedding those videos into different areas of marketing for them. So don't just rely on who's in the paper and who's got lots of property. Paper is definitely still a key element for advertising your property. Don't get me wrong, I'm not against print at all, but there are certainly a lot of other mediums that agents need to be taking advantage of when selling your property. So start looking at all of those and looking at the agents who are doing a lot of it and doing it well. Some agents will tell you they don't need that because they've got all the databases and they've got... Let me tell you, we are all dealing with the same people. Buyers don't, at the end of the day, have loyalty to one agent. They come to all of us. Trust me, that's just how it works. But if your property is sitting in front of more eyes across a whole bunch of different mediums, then your property is going to stand out against your competition. So have a good look at the agents who are doing digital marketing really well. And that includes things also like professional photography, and really getting out there with some new and exciting ways to market your home or property. The reason I place a lot of emphasis on the images is that's just how a lot of buyers look these days. They want good quality photos. I don't know how often I can write War and Peace, the most spectacular write-up for a property, and buyers will still pick up the phone, call me, and ask me questions that are contained in those write-ups and all the information online. They look at photos first. That is your first impression these days. More often than not, before buyers have even rung us, they've looked at your property 6, 7, 8 times online, flicked through those photos, and the photo impression numbers on websites really blows me away these days. They've looked at all of that information before they've even picked up the phone to talk to us about your property. So you really need to find yourself an agent who does those things really well to put your property ahead of the competition. That's the goal at the end of the day, is to put your property ahead of the competition. Choosing the right agent who can get all those things right will definitely put you in that first position. Okay, so number 4 is one of the biggest mistakes I see. It might not seem so obvious to you as the seller, but people will call in and say, I want the cheapest agent. How much are your fees? They are looking for the agent who will do it for the cheapest fee. Why do people do this? This is seriously most people's biggest asset, and you want the cheapest person to look after the sale and negotiation of your property. You want the agent who's basically sat down in front of you and said, I will negotiate my fee down to win your business. What do you think they're going to do when they're sitting across from the buyer at the other side? They've already proven to you that their negotiation skill is down, not up. I don't know anybody who wants to deal with an agent who will happily walk into a sale situation and say, I'm going to negotiate this deal down. Cheap agents, I'm telling you right now, will do whatever they need to do to get a sale together, because they're not operating on skill level, they're operating on quantity. Not quality, quantity, and not skill level. They just need to pump through sales to get the money in their pocket. They're not worried about the money in your pocket. I'll guarantee you that right now. So find an agent who is worth what they're asking. And I tell you, they're the agents that have done all the things that I've spoken about in the last 3 points. Because the good agents fight for their sellers. They work for their sellers. You guys pay us at the end of the day, you, the seller. So a good agent, or a great agent rather, works for their client, you, the seller. It makes total sense. No point looking for the cheap or discount agent to negotiate the best price, the best terms to your satisfaction if they are going to be the cheapest. It just doesn't work that way. There's a great saying that one of the other guys in my office, Anthony, always says, I will not be the cheapest agent that you get in and speak to, but I will make you the most money. So when you look at some of the numbers around it, and this is where part of your research should be coming into play, look at some of those discount agents' numbers, where they've started at a price here, they end up selling here. And lastly, number 5, which does play a massive part in choosing your agent, is you really have to feel comfortable with them. You have to feel and trust that they're going to do the best job by you when selling your property. So make sure you build some rapport with that agent. Hopefully you've already met them at some open homes and those sorts of things, and we'll get a real feel for how they're going to represent you and the sale of your property. Okay, so that's my top 5 tips on helping you choose the right agent for the sale of your property. Hope you enjoyed them. If you have any questions at all, give me a call, 041 333 1945. My contact details will be at the end of this video. Cheers, have a great day.
Sold for the max. Shane McLeod at Remax Gold. Ooh, I love that sold sign. That Shane McLeod sign. it's so for the max. Tell me, Shane, it's
So for the max.
yeah, I love